So you guys are in the summer engineering program.
Yeah.
Has it been fun?
Yes.
Yeah. And did you build something cool? Who built the coolest thing?
Me.
All right. What'd you build? It's Juan, right?
Yeah.
What'd you build?
I built a voice control robot.
Wow, that is cool.
I know.
Does it work?
Yeah, she does.
Oh, okay. She does?
Yeah, it's a girl.
Nice. Of course. How old are you?
17.
17, you build a remote control girl. Okay, that's cool. I get it. That's cool. Can you come work for me? That's awesome. Awesome. So you guys have had a bunch of speakers come in and talk to you during the summer, and they all talk about engineering and engineering projects and this sort of thing. Were they all engineers that came to talk to you?
No, some are entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs. Were they engineers first and then entrepreneurs?
Well,
Do you know?
not
Okay.
No.
Okay. Now, how old are you guys? Are you all juniors, seniors, sophomores?
High
school.
All high school. You going into your sophomore year? Is that everyone going to sophomore?
No.
Junior.
Junior.
We're
Okay.
going into senior year.
Senior year. Okay. So you guys are starting to think about your future and where you're going to go next. Anyone thinking about going to college? Everybody. Wow, that's okay. Anyone thinking about going into engineering? Okay. Where do you guys think you want to go to school? Anyone?
Cambridge University in England.
Where? Cambridge. All right. Setting the bar high. I like that. How about where do you think?
I'm thinking about 3 places. One is MIT,
Okay.
the other is Carnegie Mellon, and another is in Australia. It's called Swan.
Wow. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
A&M or Syracuse.
Texas A&M. Okay. So I'm biased. What were you going to say?
A&M or UC Berkeley.
Okay, nice. I'm an A&M grad myself, and was a high school student that both my parents were teachers, and came through school, went off to A&M, got my engineering degree, put myself through A&M, by the way, to pay for it for myself. We didn't have much money growing up, and then got out and practiced engineering for a while. I worked for a couple of oil and gas companies, Oxy and then Marathon, who you may or may not have heard of, and then I'm also an entrepreneur. In 2006, started an engineering firm that's called Pinnacle, and we have been very blessed. Our company has grown steadily. Today we employ over 300 people, and we do business all over the world. We have operations everywhere from Canada down to South America. We have offices in the Middle East now. We've done business in China and Australia. Most of our business is still in North America. And what we do, which won't be really interesting to anybody unless they go into oil and gas, these massive refineries, if you go out to the east side of town, like the LaPorte Freeway, or you go down south to Texas City, these huge refineries that make literally millions of gallons of gasoline every day, these guys do not like having their equipment break. If a pipe springs a leak or a pressure vessel has a valve that won't operate, that costs them thousands and thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they want to be more reliable. And what our company does is we go into these plants and we implement systems that help them track their reliability. And then we have made a very successful business doing that. But that's all I'm going to talk about, reliability engineering. I figured today, the age you guys are, and where you are in your lives, it might be more interesting to talk about secrets of success. On my way here today, I stopped to pick up my favorite car. My favorite car is a 1997 Ford F-150. It's a total piece of junk. But I love this car. Well, I've had this car since we bought the car when it was about 5 or 6 years old, my wife and I. And today it's the car I can do anything in. I can throw dirt in the back. All the kids can climb in, and we don't care. The dashboard's totally falling apart. I love that car. And but people ask me all the time. People say, Ryan, when I do own a little bit nicer car now. A couple years ago, bought a used car. And people ask me, Ryan, you own a company that does $50 million a year in business. You guys do business all over the world. You go to college campuses and business seminars, and you speak everywhere, and you drive a total piece of junk. There's something wrong with this picture. And so what I tell you is that's one very small example of the way to look at things differently when you talk about success. And I'll come back to that in a minute. So when we talk about success, the question is, what does success mean to you? Because success is not the same to everybody. So let me ask you this. If I was to say to you guys, tell me something. When you think down the road and you say, I'm gonna make a goal, and that goal, I assume, will have something to do with success. In other words, if I'm successful, I'll achieve that goal. So you guys tell me, what would a goal be of one of yours? Just volunteer.
Get a good job.
Get a good job.
Making it through West Point.
Make it through West Point. That's a good goal. Anybody else? Oh, come on. Nothing? Really? What do you got?
Getting my kids into a better college life.
Wow, that's getting your kids in a better college. Anyone else? Yes.
Buy my mama a good house when I'm older.
Buy your mom a nice house. That's an awesome one. I love that. Anybody else? All right. Now let's imagine for a second. I was going to pull some tickets out of my pocket. And these tickets were magic. I know you guys don't believe in magic anymore, but go with me for just a second. Nice. I'm going to hand these tickets out to you guys, and these tickets guarantee that whatever you set your goals, whatever you set to be your goal, you cannot fail. It's guaranteed to be successful. Right? So here, everybody gets a ticket, right? And now, holding this ticket, whatever you set to be your goal, you cannot fail. You're guaranteed to be successful. Now, you're all holding this ticket. Now, I'm going to ask you again, anybody have any goals? And you're guaranteed you'll be successful. Do we have any additional goals?
To have more goals.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you want to do?
Conquer the world.
Conquer the world? Okay. So you went from, I want to get my kids in a better college to world domination. Okay, I like that. That's cool. Anybody else?
Good job.
Get a good job? Somebody said get a good job before, right? Who said
Yeah.
said get a good job? That's right.
Oh, mom.
Own your own company, okay?
Be my own boss.
Be your own boss.
Yourself.
I am my own boss. I enjoy that one. What else? Think about it. If I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? What would I want to do?
Create real life things digitally.
Create what?
Real life things digitally.
Real life, so artificial intelligence. You're talking about creating something that's alive, but it's a digital life form.
Well, not exactly alive, like anything. So like the computer or water bottle, but it's just like creating digital.
Okay. What else? Who's the quietest person in the group? I'm thinking it's.
Stick.
Did you say? I was going to say one of you two. Or somebody over this room's to this side's talking if you guys are quiet. Anything?
Gotta be good.
And you guys play sports?
I play football.
Ball
Football.
and track.
Football. You like to play football?
Yes.
You good football player?
Yes.
What position do you play?
Quarterback.
Quarterback. Do you think you'd like to play football after high school?
Yes.
What would you like to play in the NFL?
Yes.
How about so I gave you a ticket, right? And the ticket said you're guaranteed to be successful or whatever you choose to do. How about MVP of the Super Bowl, quarterback of the Super Bowl winning team and MVP? That'd be decent. Would you like to do that? Why not, right? I mean, you can't fail. I'll get the magic ticket, right? Anyone ever dream of going into politics? No. How about being you said talk about being your own boss, right? How about being the CEO of Microsoft?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. Or who makes the video game system? Nintendo? Wii?
Yes.
Sony.
Nintendo.
Sony,
Nintendo
there you
made
go.
Wii.
Microsoft.
And
Be the CEO of one of those companies?
Bungie.
So why do I say that? So now we talk about what goals are. And a lot of times, by the way, I do this at college campuses a lot. I go and talk to kids in college. I do the same thing. I say, tell me what your goals are. And I want to get a good job. I want to go in the Air Force. I want to have a family. I want to, what are some other ones I hear? And they're all good goals. They're all things that would certainly make us happy and certainly would be successful. But then when I hand out the magic tickets, it's amazing. Or I usually get someone who says, I'd like to be president of the United States. Right? Why not? Because I've said I've given you a ticket. You cannot fail. Someone says I'd like to be a world-renowned artist. Was one I got. I'd like to be a famous. Someone says I'd like to be a musician, a famous musician. I get the one I got. CEO of Nintendo was one I got just recently. So now, and the question I ask back is, well, what changed? What changed when I gave you the magic tickets? How come all of a sudden now I hear bigger goals? Why weren't those the goals we talked about before? And that's the first principle of success. As you guys look out down the road and you're saying, you know what, I'm thinking about college, I'm thinking of graduation. Some of you guys are probably thinking about the date I got this weekend or whether mom's going to let me have a cell phone. But one thing that will differentiate you from other people around you, when you think about what success means to you, is thinking long term. Most people in the world, most people in the United States do not think long term. They never think long term. They think about what's going on right now. And I can prove it to you. If you guys all have cell phones, right, or computers. If you go on the computer and you pull up CNN.com right now today, and I want to know what's the #1 news story on CNN today. Do you know what it is? The royal baby. The royal baby. The royal baby will have zero impact on the world. None whatsoever. It's just another baby, right? I've had 3 of them, and no one cared. Right? It's just a baby, and that's the number 1 story. You know what the number 2 story? Actually, that may be the number 2 story now. The number 1 story today is about the politician Anthony Weiner up in New Jersey, who is found to be sending more pornographic pictures of himself over his cell phone. Once again, this is a total schmuck, and he's dominating the news because people out there don't think about what's long-term important. They think about what is interesting today. So if you guys say, you know what, I'm going to focus a little further. I'm going to think down a little bit further about what's going on in my life. Maybe I'll think through college. I'll think about my job, and I think about things like, what do I really want to do with my life? I'd like to be a teacher, right? And not just be a teacher. I'd like to help educate a new generation of leaders. I'd like to have a family. It's a good one. But think beyond that. I'd like to, what do I want to do with my family? Where would I like to live? What would I like to accomplish with my children? If you guys think about that, you will set yourselves apart already by setting those kind of goals. So the first secret of success is to think long term, and then a part of that is to think strategically. You guys ever played chess?
Yes.
You know what they say in chess? You always need to be thinking 3 moves ahead. That's kind of the rule. I always need to be thinking 3 moves ahead. Most people in the world don't play chess because they don't like to think 3 moves ahead. They like to play, checkers or pong. They don't want to think. They like to watch football because I don't have to think anything ahead. I just watch the other guys throw the ball around. Right? If I think 3 moves ahead, so when I think, what do I want to accomplish in my life and how will I get there? You'll be setting yourselves way apart. And this is not hard to do, just most people don't do it. So what's another, there's one. If I do those sort of things, I set myself apart, I set myself up for success. So one is identifying where I want to go. The next one is perseverance. You know what perseverance means?
Yes.
What does perseverance mean?
Endurance. You stick to it no matter what.
Stick to it, enduring, what'd you say?
Keep going.
Keep going. You guys, the quiet ones, perseverance mean anything to you, or I don't really give a crap what perseverance means?
Like, you go after something, like, you want to keep doing it, like, that's what you want to do, so you're going to do it.
So you keep doing it. That's perfect. Keep doing it. Do y'all know who John D. Rockefeller was?
He owned a
One
rock.
of the richest men in history.
There's been a history. John D. Rockefeller, who was alive in the early 1900s, owned what was at the time called Standard Oil. Standard Oil, in its day, controlled 90% of the oil business in the United States. 90%. So today we have Exxon and Chevron and BP and Shell and Marathon and some other oil and gas companies. And the largest of those is internationally is Shell, and nationally is Exxon. And Exxon in the United States today probably controls about 30 to 40% maybe of the oil business. So this is the largest company where they do $400 billion a year in business. They do $40 billion a year in profit. That's Exxon. And they only control 30 to 40%. John D. Rockefeller privately owned 90% of the oil business in the world. Many people consider him to be the most powerful businessman that ever lived. That is the early 1900s. John D. Rockefeller was once quoted as saying, "Nothing is so important to success as perseverance. It overcomes anything, even nature." What John D. Rockefeller was recognizing is in the people that he brought around him, that he wanted to have on his team, were people that did not let obstacles get in their way. People that would say, yes, this is going to be challenging, but I'm going to persevere. He didn't say smart. He didn't say articulate. He didn't say tall. He didn't say good looking. He said perseverance. I'll tell you today, in the company of 300 people that I run, which is just a little bit smaller than John's company, in our company, when I think of the people that are the most successful in our company, they're the people that when you say, we've got a challenge ahead of us, they say, I'll take care of it. And they will take care of it. They're going to handle it. There are going to be challenges because we never have it all figured out. But they're going to take care of it and they're going to get it done. Those are the people you want on your leadership team. So the first lesson was, let me think out in the future. Let me set a vision for myself. The second lesson is, and set a plan. Let's be strategic. How do I get there? And then the second lesson is persevere. When those challenges come up, don't give up. Most of the people you will meet in your life will not persevere. The United States is the greatest country in the world. Absolutely. It's easy to live in the United States. Any of us ever been hungry for a meal? My guess is not. In other words, yeah, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get Taco Bell today. But we've not missed meals. In other parts of the world, you may not eat for 3 or 4 days. Here, we know three squares a day is just part of the way we grow up, right? My parents, like I said, were both teachers. We didn't ever have a lot of money, but I always had a roof over my head and always had as much food as I wanted to eat. So we think of those basic necessities as just God-given rights. In most parts of the world, they're not. The United States is easy to live in. It's easy to get a job. It's easy to watch TV. It's easy to have a very comfortable lifestyle in the United States. So because of that, most people will not challenge themselves. They'll not persevere. If something gets difficult, that's fine. I'll just watch more television. So if you guys will choose to persevere, you'll set yourselves apart. That's the second one. The third one, and this is the one that is probably the one that is most often missed in our society today, is live within your means. You all know what that means? Live within your means? Most of you probably haven't been exposed to that yet because most of you still are supported by your parents, right? Parents are the ones that pay for you to go to school and pay for food. Do you know what it means to live within your means? Yes, sir.
Like, don't spend too much money. Like, don't overspend. Like, have a budget, I guess.
Very good. Did you have something different, something to add?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. That's it exactly. Live within your means. If I told you, I'm going to give you a job, I'm going to pay you $50,000 a year. You think, okay, $50,000 a year. And you think, I can live off that, right? I mean, anybody can live off of $50,000, right? That's a lot of money. If I give you $50,000 a year, it'd be like money falling from the sky. I mean, I don't know what to do with all this money. Believe it or not, the average person in the United States making $50,000 a year has more debt that they pay down than money they bring in. In other words, they don't. Because when you start adding, well, I want a nice house, because you got to have a nice house. And I definitely need a cell phone for me and my wife and my kids. And I'm probably going to need nice cars. Certainly no one wants to drive an old jalopy. We live in the United States. I want to drive a nice car. I want to drive Ryan's 97 F-150. That would be embarrassing. I want to go out and eat out every once in a while. I want to go to the movies, and I want to go to concerts. And man, I definitely got to dress well, because no one wants to look bad, right? You start adding all this stuff up, and all of a sudden the money's going as quickly as you can bring it in. And so let me tell you a personal story about living within your means. My wife and I always lived within our means. Now, we were very, very blessed. I put myself through college, but I got a mechanical engineering degree from Texas A&M. I got out of school and I was making a good salary. My wife is also a mechanical engineer from A&M. We both graduated. We both made good salaries. We graduated in 1998. Were you guys even born then?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. I find I'm getting old all the time. This school, by the way, was founded in 1975. I noticed on the front door that was the year I was born. 1998, we graduated. We both had good salaries. We had been very fortunate to go to college, get good degrees. When we got out of school, we lived off of one of those salaries. So at the time, we lived off of one salary. We made about the same amount of money. We lived off of one. The other one went all into savings. We didn't take fancy vacation. Our friends did. We bought relatively affordable houses. In our entire time we've been married, and as much business success as we've been blessed with, we've only bought one brand new car, because I was buying cars 2 years old. So we live very well within our means. So why is that important? Tell me, Ryan, how did that lead to success? In 2005, the end of 2005, I was working for a company called Berwanger, and I was running their mechanical integrity division. Doesn't mean anything to you guys, and it shouldn't, but I was running a division of the company. We had about 30 people that worked in that group. And Siemens, y'all heard of Siemens before, the massive multinational company, they employ like 400,000 people. Siemens came in and bought Berwanger from the guy who owned it at the time. And when Siemens came in and bought Berwanger at the end of 2005, I was fired. I mean, it was a huge shakeup for me. I had been very successful in this role. I had grown this division. We had added a lot of people. It was new business for Berwanger. But Siemens was coming in, and there was a new guy who was going to take over that business unit, and he and I didn't see eye to eye. So he decided it was time for me to go. Fortunately for me, I had lived within my means. So here I was, unemployed. I did have a nice severance agreement, so I had a little bit of income coming in. Because I was unemployed, and so I was now looking for what my next deal was going to be, and because we had lived within our means, so we had plenty of savings saved up, I was able to say, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to start my own thing. I did. Today we employ 300 people. We did $50 million. We'll do $50 million in business this year. But I was able to do that because I didn't have to have that paycheck right then. I had a little bit of money saved up. And we were able to go about 6 months without taking a paycheck. And that was with a wife and 3 kids. We lived off of our savings. So living within your means opens up those opportunities. So if you have planned out in the future, so I want to run my own business, or I want to be a professional football player. Use professional football, right? Now the dream is, I'm going to go and I'm going to be a high school football player, and then I'm going to go to college and play college football, and I'll get drafted number 3 in the top 3 in the draft. I get like $8 million just for signing up, and I'm set, right? That's the football dream. Well, you know that most professional football players, 10 years after they have retired from professional football, are broken. Greater than 50% of professional football players, 10 years after they retire, are broken. Why is that? They don't live within their means. They got to play professional football. Like, I'm a professional football player. I got to drive a Porsche or at least a Ferrari, right? And I got to have nice clothes. I got to have chicks all over the place, and those cost money. Cars and chicks cost money. So they spend money like they spend every dime they earn because they think that, you know what? Yes, I'm making $10 million a year, but surely it'll last forever. And they spend all that money, and 10 years, 15 years down the road, they can't play professional football anymore. And guess what? No one really cares about any of their other skills, most of them. A few are really good stories. Not football, but in basketball. Magic Johnson, right? Magic Johnson owns a string of Starbucks. He's a very successful businessman. But most don't do that. Most don't think long term. Most spend way outside of their means. They spend more than they make, and 10 years down the road, they're broke. So thinking about, A, let me think down the road. What do I want to accomplish? What's my vision? Where I want to go? B, can I persevere when I hit challenges? How do I persevere through that? And the third, can I live within my means so that when opportunity comes knocking, I'm ready to participate. I'm ready to take that challenge. So what's the fourth one? The fourth key to success is to serve others. Now wait a minute, Brian, you just talked about how you run this business, and John D. Rockefeller had all these people, and you're running the show. You're not serving people are serving you, right? And when you see Bill Gates, you know who Bill Gates is? CEO of Microsoft. Bill Gates, he's running the show. He's not serving others, right? I think anybody else famous that we might... Steve Jobs before he died. Well, he wasn't serving others, was he? Was he? Yes, he was. You see how Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and others like him, how they serve others. If they're really successful, what they're making a priority is, how do I make the people around me successful? Because if I'm the only one at Pinnacle, is the name of our company, if I'm the only one at Pinnacle who's successful, as a business, we won't be very successful. In fact, we'll go under. I've got to make sure that I'm not the one to worry about it. I've got to make sure all of you guys are successful if you work there. If you're engineers and technicians and inspectors, are you able to do your job well? Am I empowering you to make decisions and to go further than what you're doing today? If I'm doing those things, then overall our company will be successful. And you'll learn those keys by serving others today. What are ways that you guys serve others today? Going to school probably does not serve others. You may have things you do at school to serve others. What are things that you do that are helping other people? Let me ask it that way. Are you doing stuff like that today?
Volunteering.
Volunteer? What do you volunteer to do?
I mean, like, you can.
You can? Oh, okay. I don't, because, I got some football to play. I will tell you, I did not much when I was your age either. Now, I was in the Boy Scouts, and in the Boy Scouts, we would go off and do service projects. And so I learned my lesson about service a little later in life. But I wish I'd learned it earlier because it has turned out to be very valuable. We run our company. You guys have seen an org chart before, organization chart. You know what that looks like? Usually, at most companies, they'll draw an org chart. In fact, I guarantee there's one for the school, right? There's the principal of the school, probably. Is there a principal here? So there's an org chart here. And is there an org chart here?
No, so this is programs outside.
Outside school, okay.
But there is probably.
There's an org chart that has the principal. Then he or she's got vice principals, and then there's teachers, and there's an org chart that says so-and-so works for so-and-so who works for so-and-so. That's what an org chart tells you. At Pinnacle, we draw our org chart the other way around. We have the CEO at the bottom, who's me, of the org chart, and then who am I responsible for? Who do I support? Then when I look at that layer of the org chart, that's our vice presidents. Who do they support? And then they support directors and managers. Who do they support? So it's all about what are we doing to empower the people around us. So as you guys, and I like I said, didn't learn that lesson until I was a little later in life, but as you guys think about what can I do to serve others, it doesn't have to be volunteering. That's a great way to do it. Today we do. We take our kids out to do things like feed the homeless, or to our church does a lot of activities where we go out and go to do service projects to rebuild houses for old people or clean up yards, that sort of thing. Sometimes you can serve others. It's not as powerful. You can serve others by donating money to causes that need help. One area that is particularly important to me is I've tried recently to get involved in politics. I think that our political system is a disaster. And I want to get involved to help bring more integrity to public office so that we can empower our elected officials to do more things to make the world around us better for the long haul. So that's another way to serve others. So all those ways to serve others, if you master that ability, and that becomes just part of how you think about the world, down the road, it will really help your success. So what are we talking about? I talked about setting a goal, setting a vision for what you want to accomplish. I talked about perseverance. I talked about living within your means. And I talked about serving others. So that when I first started talking, I talked about my old beat-up pickup truck, right? So why is that an indication of success? Well, yes, certainly. I could go out today, and forgive me, I don't mean to brag. We've been very blessed, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I close. But if I wanted to, I could go out and pay cash and buy a brand new Corvette. Just write a check. Here it is, brand new Corvette. But that's not interesting to me. Why not? Because when I think long term about the things I want to accomplish, and I want to see me and my family and my kids and the employees that I work with and the people when I think about the things we want to accomplish, a new Corvette doesn't help that. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter. So I like my beat-up old pickup truck. When I think about persevering, well, I know that challenges are going to come down the road, right? Particularly for our business. It's just the way business works. So yes, I could go out and write a check for a brand new car, but I want to make sure that we have the ability to persevere. And that truck, I've owned that truck since before we started this company. It's a symbol of our perseverance. I drove that truck when I ran for office, when we first started Pinnacle. I've had that truck through all the times when we had challenges. And that was the vehicle that took me everywhere I was going. And I keep that truck because it reminds me of that. It was perseverance. It was going through those challenges to help build a successful company. Obviously, living within your means, that truck's probably worth $1,000. Right? I mean, I could certainly go out and buy a brand new car, but I've got a truck that gets me from here to there, and it does a great job of it. It's got cold air, and it doesn't cost anything. And it's living within my means. And finally, serving others. When I drive that truck around, I'm able to tell stories like this. I'm able to talk to people about what it's like, how to place priorities in the right places, and how to live life thinking about what you really want to accomplish, not what sounds good on television or an ad today. And that truck helps me tell that story. When I go out and do things like we go out and do service projects, I can haul wood in that truck, and it doesn't matter if I get it all dirty. One time we were cleaning out a yard of a older gentleman that lived in the neighborhood around our church, and he had like 50 old paint cans. We stacked them all in the back of the truck. I was driving the truck away. This has been 3 or 4 years ago. And had to stop quickly at a stoplight, and one of the cans burst open and threw paint all over the back of my truck. It didn't matter. It's my work truck. I didn't care about that. If I was in my brand new Corvette, So that truck is there to serve others. So that's why I love that truck. It embodies all the things I think are part of success. When you think, if you saw me pull up to the stoplight, right? Say you're at the stoplight with your mom and dad. You pull up and here comes this guy, brand new Ferrari pulls up next. And here comes Ryan, his jalopy old pickup truck. And your parents said, man, son, which one of these guys do you think is successful? You wouldn't think the guy in the beat up old pickup truck would be that guy, would you? So you never know. But that's all about those principles, because those are not the things everyone else in life will do. Most of the people around you will not think that way. And that's why if you do, you'll open up those doors that most people won't open. You'll have opportunities of success that most people won't. Let me close by talking a little bit about, like I said, we've been very blessed. There's no question. And sometimes people ask me, how did you become successful? What did you do to do all these things? And I'll talk about keys to success and those sort of things. But one question that I want to answer that I think some people are afraid to ask is, Ryan, why do you think God blessed you with all those opportunities? Why do you think He gave you success like that? Why that doesn't seem fair, right? Why do you get to have all that fun and have all that ability? And this also has to do with my truck. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus tells us, to whom much is given, much will be expected. The Lord's telling us, when you go out and yes, you may have blessings, things that don't seem fair. Why does Ryan get this, or why does Bill Gates get that, or why did John D. Rockefeller get this? It's not about what they got or what they didn't get. It's about what do they do with that. In other words, for those people who are successful, the expectation is to turn around and give back and get back to that idea of service. When you are successful, what are you going to do to give back to the people around you? Because when all those gifts are given to you, whether you believe it's total luck or you believe they came directly from the Lord God, doesn't matter. But what the fact is that when you are successful, giving back is a big part of that. And you should expect that of yourselves, as I do of myself. So, how much time? That was what? 25 minutes? Now, I will now, I want you guys to talk. Ask me whatever questions you have. And I will tell you, before we start, there is no question you can ask me that will be inappropriate. You can ask me any question you dream, and it'll be okay. And it'll be okay. Most people, it takes you a while to get warmed up. Sometimes, depending on how nervous you guys are, I may pass out pieces of paper and let you write them down, because some people will be embarrassed to ask questions. But there's no question you can ask that's not okay to ask. So fire away. Yes, ma'am.
You said that you had companies out in the Middle East.
Yes, ma'am.
How is that going?
That is difficult. Good question. We have just started that. So our company has done most of our work in North America for the time we've been in business, about 7 years now. And we're just starting to do projects in the Middle East. And it's slow going. They make decisions very slowly. There's a lot of regulation. So our first businesses, our first opportunities are coming in Bahrain and Qatar. And those two countries, just like all Middle Eastern countries, have a lot of regulation, a lot of rules around what you have to do business there. And it's arduous to get through that. But there's a lot of opportunity there. So we're going to persevere. And we're going to set up these new companies, and we have a couple guys over there right now. And we're even looking at an acquisition, so we're going to go out and purchase another company who has even more opportunities. So when we look at all the things that we have to do over there, it will empower us to move, to open an operation and start those projects. Yeah, it's a challenge. Good question. Yes, sir.
You said you graduated with a degree in chemical engineering, right?
Mhm.
How do you think you could have used petroleum engineering? How did the mechanical engineering help you get into oil and gas?
Very, very good question. So in terms of getting into oil and gas, whether it's mechanical, chemical, petroleum, even electrical, civil, there's just so many opportunities today. And your time of getting into school today, by the time you graduate 4 or 5 years from now, they'll probably still be there. So whatever engineering you feel passionate about will still open up those oil and gas opportunities. Now our company specifically, what we do around reliability systems, a mechanical engineering degree was the best fit for that. And I got a lot of exposure to that when I worked at Oxy and Marathon and Berwanger because I had a mechanical engineering degree. So a petroleum engineering degree wouldn't have opened up that exact door, but it would have opened up different doors. A lot of people out there who have petroleum engineering degrees run very successful businesses in Houston that do, say, exploration and production, or different types of fracking, or whatever. There's lots of different ways that different engineering degrees will open up different opportunities. But a lot of them in oil and gas. Good question. What else?
How many people did you start your company with?
Just one? Me. That's it. It really is. Good question. Some people will start companies by getting together like 5 or 6 people, then we all come home. It was just me to start off with. In fact, I'll tell you another quick story about that. So here I am. I've basically been fired from my job at Berwanger, and man, I am depressed. My wife would tell you today it was the closest she'd ever seen me to really depressed, like, man, just down. And I actually went out and did some what we call independent consulting for a while, but it was about really 6 months later that doing a little bit of odd jobs and consulting work. And I said, you know what, I'm going to start my own company. And it was just me, well, and my wife. I need to give credit where that's due. Jennifer helped a ton because she, as my wife. When early on, I would go out and do all the work, and she handled invoicing for us. She handled some of the marketing materials. I mean, for the first couple of years, I would work during the day, and I'd come home, and I'd take care of the kids, and Jennifer would work at night to help with that, to get things started. Today, she has worked hard. She's persevered. Today, she doesn't have to work. That we have people that do all those pieces, but early on, she was very involved. But anyway, so here we go. We're going to start up the company, and I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to need an office because I can try to work from home, but that's probably going to be a disaster because I don't work from home very well. The kids are crawling all over me and stuff. So I'm in a Home Depot with my brother. This like the week before we're going to get this thing kicked off, and I run into a friend of mine from church. His name's Rob, and Rob said, "Hey man, how's business?" I said, "Well, I'm going to start my own thing." He said, "Man, that's great." He said, "Where are you going to office?" I said, "I got no clue. I might be in my garage. I don't know. I guess I got to open an office." He says, "Well, it's nothing fancy, but I've got a." He owned his own company too. It was a telephone installation company. Like there's probably a phone in this room, and they hire phone systems companies to come in and put those in. That's what Rob did. And Rob said, "I've got a warehouse building, and I've got an extra room if you'd like to rent it." So for the bargain price of $300. Rob rented me a room in his warehouse and gave me a phone, an internet access, and a phone number, my own phone number, all for $300 a month. And that's where we started. Today, I dream of paying $300 a month. I think we pay something like $8,000 a month for our office today. and compared to what we paid back then. It's crazy. So anyway, that's how we started, just one person in one room. What else? Go for it.
Is your wife still an engineer?
Well, so she has an engineering degree, but she doesn't practice engineering anymore. So she doesn't have she's not doing any technical work. Most of her time is spent either with our 3 kids, or she does a lot of volunteer stuff. So she works like with the school. We live down in Friendswood, going over to Friendswood again. We live down there, and she does a lot with the school, and she does a lot with our church.
So she retired?
I guess you'd say that. Usually people like, especially women, don't like to say retired because it makes them sound old, and women don't like to sound that way. So she would say she just doesn't work. Or she would say she's a stay-at-home mom. But yeah, she is, and like I said, we've been very blessed that we financially can do that because we want it. What else?
Oh, what was your biggest struggle?
Oh, big struggles. In life or just in business?
Both.
Okay. Well, certainly in business, the biggest struggle is, and it's, I'm going to use a generic, is balance. Everything you do is about balance. You know, you want to, for example, give you everybody wants to pay their employees as much money as possible. Right? You want your employees to be happy and make plenty of money. At the same time, if you pay them too much, the business can't afford to run. So you have to strike a balance there. You want to go out and say you're dealing with a customer. The customer's got a specific need, and you want to honor that need, take care of that customer, and you want to do it and make him happy. And I want to do everything I can to make him happy. At the same time, he's got to pay for that service, and we've got to come up with a good balance for what that service costs. So all these things, and that is a constant struggle, is to always strike the right balance. Those are just 2 examples, but you know, I could get into almost everything we do in business. We have to strike that balance, and that's the constant challenge that we strike. Now, individually, getting fired was a big one. I mean, that was really, and I say getting fired. My wife doesn't like when I say that because she says I'm over-dramatizing. She said, you know, well, essentially what happened was they came and said, look, Ryan, you know, we're buying this company, Dave's taking over, and we are going to basically, you and 2 other division managers, we're going to lay you guys off. We just don't need your services anymore. That, to me, is fire. But that was, you know, I had sunk my whole life into building this division at Berwanger. I started the division at Berwanger. I was doing this. We grew it to about 30 people, and I was working all the time, working really hard. And it was crushing at the time, you know, to go through that. I'd say those are probably the biggest 2. Let me go back to the business side for a second. The biggest challenge when you talk about that balance is you want to make aggressive steps. Right? We have very aggressive goals in our company because we think long term. We are talking at Pinnacle about what we'll be doing in the year 2020. So 7 years, 8 years, 6 years out, depending on when we're talking about. Yeah, we're looking that far. We have aggressive goals. And we want to accomplish really big things and do great things for the industry and for the world around us. But once again, back about that balance, that's hard for people to digest, and that produces a stressful environment. So balancing that and setting that vision and keeping to that and making sure everyone's bought into that team, that's a challenge. That's hard. But we do. What else? Go for it.
And employing people, new people, did you make sure that they like believe the same, you know, those 4 steps that you told us about, you told them about? Is that how you?
Very good question. So do I, when people come to work at Pinnacle, do we try to make sure that they have those values?
Yeah.
And do we talk about those principles in the way we run our business? The answer is yes. In fact, we're very specific about our values. Now, you guys, I'm talking a little more basic because of where you are in your life. You're still getting ready to go to college, but once people come work for us, even if it's fresh out of college, so it's only, you know, 5, 6 years older than you are, but that's a very different point in their life. So we talk about them a little differently, but it's the same basic principles. And yeah, we talk about that a lot. In fact, we have a new hire orientation going on this week. So I think we got 12 new hires that are going through this orientation. And I do 2 presentations for that group, and one of them is all about this, talking about vision and values and principles and how we live our life. So there's nothing else really? You guys don't have, I mean, I know there's always questions out there, but nobody wants to ask the question.
How'd you get the idea?
Do what?
How'd you get the idea?
To start the business? Man, you know, it wasn't any one thing. The biggest thing that said I need to start my own company was getting fired. That was what kind of kicked me in the butt and said, go out and do this. But overall, I was in that industry for a long time and saw that there was this need to model risk and build better reliability programs. So having seen it, man, at all the plants I was going into, and that in general plants weren't good at doing this, there's an opportunity to start a company that we do this and provide this service. And so when I was fired a few years later, that's time to start.
Do you now compete against the company you work for?
Very good. All right, now I'm gonna, this is not me at my best, but you asked a good question. You know, they say success is the best revenge. Have y'all ever heard that? That is true. And yeah, we've been very successful, and in general, that business unit at Berwanger that was about 30 people is now down to about 6, so they've really struggled. If I would to be a better man, my goal is to say that I feel bad for them, and you know that's too bad. You know, we worked hard to build something there, and it's a shame that that's gone so quick. But I have to admit, even though it's not me at my best, that part of me is like, ha ha. You know, so yeah, there's a bit of that in there. But the longer it's been, the more mature I get, the more that I look back on that with a sense of peace about it. That, you know what? That everything happens for a reason. I got fired because I probably wasn't going to quit on my own, and you know, the Lord gives us a nudge and says, get out there and do something, boy. And so here we go. But yes, we do. A little bit. What else?
Does the business have interns?
I'm sorry?
Does the business have interns?
We do have interns. Yep. They're all college interns, so we hire them in their junior or senior year, their 3rd or 4th year. But yeah, we probably have 3 or 4 this summer. Yes, sir.
When you were at A&M, like, what made you choose your degree?
Oh, good question. You know, I loved physics. So you guys are taking science. Are y'all taking physics?
Yeah.
Okay. Are y'all going to take physics in high school? Okay. I loved physics. By far my favorite class. And so I knew I wanted to do something in science, but I also like to design things. I loved working on my car. So I was very sort of naturally driven into engineering, and mechanical engineering is just the one. You know, when I think about electrical, civil, I knew I wanted engineering. But mechanical is the one that I went to just because I have that kind of aptitude. It naturally suited just the things I liked to do. So I didn't really pick it because I wanted to be, because I thought, oh, mechanical engineering was more, these are the things I love, and so I'll pick mechanical engineering. I'll tell you though that I'll tell you a good story. Do you guys, so my dad is a physics teacher in high school. And my dad says, you know, here he is teaching some of the smartest kids that come through his school. It's a big public school in Irving called Nimitz High School. And all these kids come through, and he says, they say, Mr. Sidden, I'm thinking of doing this or doing that for a career. He said, the one that always crushes him, it's just really disappointing. He said, he gets these kids that come through and say, oh, and he said, they're just brilliant. They're so sharp. They really get physics. They have great careers ahead of them. By the way, I'll tell you, we are hiring engineers fresh out of college today. The first year they graduate school, they make $80,000 a year when they come to work for us. No experience, fresh out of college. So here we get these kids, and my dad knows that these kids are coming out of school and that they can do, that they have all this potential. They're about to graduate. He says, so what are you going to do when you go to school? I said, oh, I think I'm going to get a degree in music. And I go, oh, dear. So he's got this poster on his wall, and it's got 4 sentences. The poster says, engineers ask, how does it work? Science majors ask, why does it work? Business majors ask, how much will it cost? And liberal arts majors ask, would you like fries with that? So it's a pretty big knock on you know, and I don't want to knock. My sister has a degree in psychology and is currently a stay-at-home mom. But there's a lot of professions that are good with those degrees, and I don't want to knock them. Some of you guys may decide that you're really passionate about something else that's not engineering, and great, and you should pursue that. But when you ask about how to choose engineering, there's a practical side of me. When I thought long-term about what I wanted to accomplish, not what sounds good today. Oh man, I love playing the guitar. I join a band. But I think long-term about what I want to do, how do I want to support myself, what do I want to accomplish in my life, I start thinking engineering makes a lot of sense. So, what else? How much time do we have? Do we have a time limit, or just keep going?
Just keep going.
All right. I'll probably wrap up in say 10 minutes or so. But, so what else do you got?
So what majors do you look at when the kids come straight out of college? Like, what major would you want them to have?
So,
For your business.
good, very good question. And the degrees we typically hire are mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering. Mostly those two. Although we have started hiring a lot of aerospace engineers, and it's just a job market thing. There's not a very good market. The job market for aerospace engineers isn't as good since NASA is downsizing, and some of the big Boeings and those companies are not hiring as much. So we're hiring a lot of aerospace guys to come in. So those 3 are the big 3 we hire.
any engineering degree, with even civil, electrical, petroleum, can actually all get jobs. We just don't tend to recruit them. But if they apply, we'll interview them. And if they're a good candidate, we'll hire them. But those are the three we go really look for. But believe it or not, we hire people with any degree from college. People can come out, like we have people that work there with political science degrees and kinesiology degrees, but they don't come in as what we call analysts. You have to have an engineering degree to come in as an analyst. Instead, you come in as a technician or as an associate, depending on what your degree is in. And they can become analysts, but they start making a lot less money. So for example, technicians, I think we just hired one who had what's her degree? She had some four-year degree, some English maybe was her degree, and she started at Pinnacle making $30,000 a year, fresh out of college, whereas the engineers start making $80,000, so it's a big difference based on this. Yes, ma'am?
I have two questions.
Awesome.
First, if you are like a petroleum business, why do you need aerospace? And second, why do you pay your engineers fresh out of college?
Aha, man, very good questions. Okay, so the first one was, if we're in the oil and gas industry, let me make sure I say this right, why do we hire aerospace engineers? Well, the work that we do, we invented it. So this way of doing reliability analysis, we invented all these methodologies and all these tools. So I don't really need any specific type of engineer. I need people who are what we call analytical thinkers. Does that mean anything to you guys? So you guys are doing that right now. You're practicing, as you're building things, you're practicing analytical thinking. And we want people that think that way. So I don't really have to have an engineer, but my odds are, if I go and hire engineers, I'm going to get those analytical thinkers. Because you guys, a lot of you guys will go off and become engineers. So I know that if I go to the schools where you're going to graduate from with your engineering degree, my odds are I'm going to get those analytical thinkers. So it doesn't really matter if they're electrical or aerospace or whatever. I just need the engineers. So that's the first question. Second question, why do I pay that much? Because I have to. It's supply and demand. You guys get supply and demand? In other words, it's basic economics. When there's more demand for something than there is stuff, the price goes up. When there's more stuff out there that people want, then the price goes down. And the basic truth is right now that engineers, there's tons of jobs out there for engineers. A lot of engineers will graduate with 5, 6, 7 job offers. So if I want to be competitive and I want to get the kids that I want, I've got to pay more than everybody else, or at least as good as everybody else. And that's what people are making. There are people making more. There are petroleum engineers that will graduate from A&M this year that in their first year out of school will make $150,000 because they'll get an $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 salary, they'll get a $20,000 or $30,000 signing bonus, and then they'll make some end-of-year bonus after they've been there. Crazy salary. Do what?
I didn't know they get bonus. I just thought that was
It should be. They're all overpaid. It's a good time to be an engineer. All companies want engineers. They want those analysts. They want those problem solvers to come work there, even in jobs that aren't traditionally engineering. And so by getting those degrees, you open up all those opportunities. Now let me say this real quick. Be careful. Don't pursue something just because it pays a lot. Although that's great, and you should be proud of that, and that definitely indicates the kind of opportunities that are out there. Pursue it because you love it. If you don't love it, then you won't be as good at it. And if you're not as good at it, then you probably won't be successful very long. So find something that you can get passionate about. Doesn't mean you have to love every aspect of it. There's parts of my job that I don't like. But in general, I really love my job. I love doing what I do. That's why I'm good at it. And you guys will find the same thing. So the money's great, but also find something that you love. What else? Good questions. You guys are great. Yes, sir.
You said you paid your way through college. Like, do you have any advice on how to do that?
So, I worked a lot of jobs. I lived in non-air conditioned dorms. I did have to borrow some money, so I didn't pay as I went. I borrowed some money, and my parents did sign up for those loans, so that helped me. But it's pretty easy to get a loan. So if you're smart, for example, a couple of you guys said A&M. If you go to A&M, I don't know what it costs you. If you're frugal, spend your money carefully, live within your means, you can probably room and board, tuition, everything. Probably go to A&M. My guess is $10,000 a year. So it costs you $40,000 to graduate from school. If you get internships, we pay our interns. So once you get to say your sophomore year, try and get internships, and you'll have those doors be open to you. You can make, we pay our interns $1,000. Is that right? That can't be right. I should have done that. Do we pay them $1,000 a week?
A week?
I mean,
Wait, we pay our, well, put this, we pay our interns, yes, that's true, because we pay our interns $25 an hour. So we pay, that's $1,000 a week.
Say work.
Do what?
How many weeks do they work?
They'll come work for us in the summertime, and they'll work for us from whatever that is, May, end of May through beginning of August. So they'll work there 10 weeks, and they'll be able, if they're smart and frugal, they'll be able to pay for the next year in college. So now, get this. Now, let's say you get a degree in political science, and you go get an internship. You know how much political science majors make during their internships? Nothing. You go intern for free. You go work for some congressman or go run a campaign for free. If you're lucky, you may get like $1,000 a month. So if you're in your engineering, cost should not be the reason you don't go to engineering school. If you guys get in engineering school, between internships and borrowing money, and working part-time jobs, you can pay for your school. I did not, because when I was there, internships didn't pay that much. But today, you can absolutely do it. But you got to live frugal. You'll have friends with parents that are just funneling money in, and they're going out partying and drinking and hanging out, dating and everybody, and they're going to movies and shows. And if those guys, it'll cost them $25,000 a year to school. Go to school, they spend a lot of money. If you're a college, you can do it. You guys be able to do it. Yes, ma'am.
While you were in college, did you join any clubs?
I did. In fact, I was on the volleyball team when I was in college. I really love that. I travel all over the country playing volleyball.
I played volleyball too.
Dude, here at school?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. Now, I wasn't good enough to get into a scholarship. I was good enough to sit the bench. I played it once. What else? A couple more.
You play any other sports?
I played a lot of sports, but I played football. In fact, today probably football is one of my favorite sports to play. I still love playing volleyball, but I love playing football. We play football at Pinnacle all the time. After work, we play at the field next to our office. I actually just do what?
No, that was fun.
So I'll play softball. I'll play basketball. But the big one I like to play are football. But, there's no room for a 38-year-old old timer on playing football, so I play pickup game with kids. Anything else?
What's your favorite team?
Sports team?
NFL, yeah.
I don't care about the NFL. I know. It's weird, isn't it? I don't care. Now ask me about just because you said NFL, ask me what my favorite sports team is, but don't say NFL. The Texas A&M Fighting Aggies. I am a ridiculously diehard Aggie. Like seriously, over the top, totally brainwashed. There's no two ways. And so we have a lot of kids from all sorts. Penn State, Iowa State, University of Texas, Texas Tech, Georgia Tech, all come work for Pinnacle. But you walk in, and our offices all look the same. It's not like the CEOs of the big corner office. They're all the same offices. But you can tell mine because mine's littered in A&M crap. Right? and I get a question at the last new hire orientation. We hired about 25 new engineers. And they all came in to work. And we're in the new hire orientation. And one of them, we do just like I did with you guys. You can ask me any question you want to ask. And these are brand new hires at Pinnacle. And one of them writes down, "Why do you hate UT? When you never went to school there, you never took a class there." And so, good question. I said, "Look, I don't hate the University of Texas. I don't hate any colleges. It's just that when you have learned that one school is so much better than all the rest, you can't help but exude that love, right?" That's not true. There's a lot of good schools. The University of Texas is a great school. The ones you guys mentioned are all good schools. I just really appreciate the opportunities that I got to go to A&M. It's such a great experience. I met my wife there. Got a good degree, got a good job. I attribute a lot of that. I would not have done, probably, a lot of those doors would not have been opened if I didn't go to school there. So I have a lot of appreciation. I'm up there all the time. Go for it.
Did they, like when you were a senior, did they help you to get a job or to?
Yes, A&M has an exceptionally good career placement center, career development center. So in fact, you're like a professional athlete when you graduate with an engineering degree from A&M. Companies are beating down your door. Would you come work for us? It's crazy. I'm serious. All you got to do is show up and interview. As long as you're not a total schmuck, you get job offers. I'm serious. Now, the kids with the best grades and that do the extra projects are members of ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, that do those kind of projects or played sports. Those extra things, they'll get the highest paying jobs. But any kid that graduates with an engineering degree from a school like an A&M or a UT will have a job offer, absolutely. And and they will come to you. They will come to campus to interview you. And then you'll say, oh, let's say for example they interviewed all of us here and decided that you three were the ones they really like. They'll fly you down to their operation. This is what we do. We'll fly you down to our building to come do a second interview, and it's a nice deal. It's not like here where you go, hi Taco Bell, do you have any open positions I'd like to apply? Over there they come to you. They recruit you. It's pretty cool. It is awesome. And it's better now than it was when I graduated. It's been, 15 years, and now it's like, man, these guys are like, I don't know if I want to work for you. I got an offer over here, too. And I don't like those guys. That's not the way to behave. It's just they can do that because there's so much demand for engineering. So, what else? Anything else?
All tapped out?
That's cool. Well, let's wrap up. I'm impressed that you guys are here during the summer doing this project. It's neat. It's these type of things that open up this opportunity. I sure hope all you guys you're able to live your dreams, and if you often do engineering, more power to you. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for all you guys out there. It will be tough. Right? When you go in any of the schools you guys mentioned, getting into those schools will be tough. When you get into those schools, getting your degree will be tough. There'll be times like, oh God, I don't think I can do this. Math is kicking my tail. Persevere. Stick with it, and it'll open up just unbelievable opportunities. Cool. It was nice meeting all you guys. Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.